Hi everyone, today we will be performing oscilloscope calibration together. First, we will check the multimeter measurement in this video. As the first step, let's check the DC voltage range. Let's start with 50 millivolts and take measurements in both positive and negative values. I'm measuring 450 millivolts and minus 450 millivolts right now. Let's check 0.5 volts. Let's check 4.5 volts and minus 4.5 volts. It's important to check two negative measurements when performing DC voltage calibration. There may be deviation at these values. To address this, search for the oscilloscope's brand and model online to find its datasheet. Then ensure that any tolerance range specified in the datasheet is included in the certificate. By the way, let's continue with 15 volts measurement. We will take measurements at 25, 35 and 45 volts. This way we will see the measurement result closest to the 50 volt range. The frequently we take measurements, the better we can observe the error rate. My advice to you is to always measure the minimum and maximum values within the range. Let's measure 454 volts and minus 454 volts in the 500 volt range. Let's see how the results turn out. It looks good. Now we will measure 100 volts, 900 volts and minus 900 volts in the 100 volt range. 1000 volt range. Since the DC measurements stays in auto range, we can't see this, but we will see it in AC. DC voltage measurements are complete. Now let's start with the AC voltage measurements. First, we will measure 50 millivolts and 50 Hz in the 500 millivolt range, since frequency is included in AC voltage. We will check with 50 Hz and 1000 Hz to observe the highest fluctuation. 50 millivolts looks good at both frequency values. Now let's continue with 450 millivolts. Actually, I was supposed to check 0.5. By the way, when performing serious measurements, the calibrator will stop itself for protection once it exceeds 35 volts. When I first did my measurements, I didn't understand what was happening, so I was a bit worried. There is nothing to worry about. At most we might blow up a $100,000 calibrator. After that, they might kick me out, but that is a different story. Anyway, I'm taking the 50 volt measurement. By the way, since the calibration doesn't provide a scope output for the oscilloscope, I won't be able to perform scope measurements. We are now at the 454 volts measurement. At this point you might start hearing a tin-tin sound from the calibrator, but don't worry. I'm making the same mistake here again, but I quickly notice and change the range to 1 kilovolts. This way, when I measure 100 volts, I will see it as 0.1 kilovolts. Finally, we will complete the measurement at 900 volts, which is 0.9 kilovolt. Now we can move on to resistance measurements. As the first step, 0 ohms. Let's check. Now we will measure 450 ohms. The range here are as follow: 5 kilo ohms, 50 kilo ohms, 500 kilo ohms, 5 mega ohms, and 30 mega ohms. Here we are taking measurements close to the highest values of the range. We will measure 27 mega ohms here and then move on the diode measurements. Finally, we will perform the diode measurements. Thanks for watching.